Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. I'm Lucas and welcome back to yet another F1 Esports Onboard POV video, and today we have the penultimate race of the season, round 11, Brazil. We have the race results from last time out, and this is the Drivers' Championship heading into the penultimate race, which is this one, with only 5-point gap to Thomas Rona behind. And last time out we managed to clinch the Constructors' Championship as a team, which was in itself an amazing moment, an amazing achievement, which we were all, ecstatic about. But very quickly the head gets straight back down as we get straight into our first run of Q1 now, heading through the first complex through sector 1, and it's, every single corner through there, affects the other. It's all basically one big complex, very hard to extract the absolute limit out of, as we have a big snap of oversteer that came in like a double bam. It was just bang, just two snaps of oversteer, trying to get the power on round the start of sector 2, heading into the slow speed part of sector 2 now. Getting on the power, just having to correct the car a little bit, getting a bit of traffic as well. But yeah, those corrections would not have helped us whatsoever early in the lap. So heading towards the final corner now. Nice and clean, but yeah, we hurt ourselves a little bit too early in that lap. And around Brazil, the margins are extraordinarily fine. It's all about the tiny little margins around here. The gaps are so small. So yeah, that puts us P7 as we cross the line with a 107.145.
Traffic will be good.
And we know we've got a bit that we can, we can find for sure going into this last run. So yeah, pressure's on now, having to use another set in Q1, braking just past the 50-metre board, and then getting the car to turn quite nicely actually, past the apex, getting on the power, and we don't actually gain much, even if the line looks quite nice. So yeah, quite fine margins through turn 2 and 3, sorry, and then heading into sector 2 now. How are we looking now on the delta, getting on the power, and immediately we gain an absolute load of lap time, a full 10th in one corner. So yeah, now it's just about risk management. We don't want to oversend it. We actually go way too deep into this corner, so now we need to be very careful as to how we recover that lap time. We cannot over push it. We're still a 10th up, so we're still, if we set this lap, we're going to be fine. So we know what we need to do. Getting on the power now, still a 10th up, just a fractionally. I basically kept a 10th from turn 4. That's literally all we've done this lap. Heading into the last corner now, getting a decent exit, and now we gain an extra 100. So with this chunk of lap time, it should be a good enough improvement to send us through into the next phase of qualifying. So
Can do it.
yeah, we got it.
Good job, Lucas. Good job.
Yeah, I just took it safe because didn't want to risk it. Just took it safe. Didn't do a good enough job in the first run, so yeah, had to manage the risk on the second run. So yeah, so that put us P8 in Q1, and both of us safely through with Barry, our teammate. I think only needed one run because he didn't do what I did in the first run and make a complete mess of it. So yeah, heading in now to our first run of Q2, using probably a bit too much curb on that apex, but it does mean we did get the car set up nicely for 2 and 3, and now we slingshot with DRS open down to the end of sector 1 and towards turn 4, braking just as that 50-metre board sort of, I think it was the 50-metre board, maybe I'm wrong, arrives, and then heading towards the middle sector. Obviously we have the delta from the used tyres, not quite getting the car tucked in through that high-speed double right-hander, but we start to keep the car in nice and tight through these apex. It's all about winding on the traction as early as you can through here. So easy to understeer going into this corner and then oversteer on the exit. So you've got to be very controlled, very balanced with how you manipulate the car on entry through exit. Into the last corner, a bit too deep. We did not get a good last corner there. We definitely overshot a little bit. So yeah, same as the first qualifying in a way, but maybe not as extreme. Just not quite putting every little area of the lap together. Still, these small mistakes that we're making that's the difference. That's the margins that will mean you can get through in one run or 2 runs. So yeah, we are going to have to use all our tyres to get into Q3 now. So yeah, now we've got it all to do. So heading into sector 1, a little bit of a wider approach this time, but as you can see, yeah, we only just gain out of it, just, if anything. So we've got it all to do heading towards sort of the middle sector and the last sector of this lap. I think we know at this point though that most of the time is going to be the last sector as we do not improve through turn 4. Bit of entry understeer that set us up a bit wide for the rest of that section. Keeping it much tighter now for this right-hander. Can we get the car into this slow speed complex? We do, but we just don't think we carried quite the minimum speed that we needed to. Then just fighting the car, trying to get on the power, and we know we've just got to be patient. We have time in the last corner. We get a solid exit out of here, so we're practically identical to our previous lap, to the 1000th nearly. Now we've got one more corner to negotiate. This could be the difference between Q2 and Q3, and you know, these laps were critical in, you know, in this championship. You know, these have to be executed, and we had to keep it cool all lap. Even if we weren't improving practically at all, we improved by a fraction, and we jump up to P6. And with only a few more cars, I believe, left to do their lap, as you can see, we are safely through into Q3. So this leaves us with one set for Q3, one run, but we got through. Bloody hell, that was close.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. How the f you, what?
I don't know why
Who's
it
that
wasn't much
Delta?
quicker, man.
No, that Delta, what the?
I was so
Imagine
scared.
What the?
I had a better last corner and didn't gain anything.
Yeah, and A99 you did, it would have been pure.
Ah, we Gucci brothers,
Yeah.
we won.
Yeah, yeah.
Good job. Right, I'll be back in a minute. So there we have it. We are in to Q3, and we have a very important lap coming up right now because, you know, we have one set of tires. Most of our championship rivals have more than us. I think Thomas had actually 3 going into this final Q3. So, and their pace was everyone was just rapid. It was, yeah, it was at the point in the championship where my gap was at its smallest, and I sort of knew going into this last lap, and I said to the guys right before I hopped back into the rig was, you know, it's either P1 or it's P10. You know, this championship was, albeit I was still leading, I had to take control of it. I had to make, you know, take destiny of it, and I knew what I had to do. I knew, you know, I had one shot. My championship could rely on it, and I'm going to make it damn count. Wait, no, wait. quite possibly the most adrenaline I have ever felt in my entire esports career. We had one shot and we made it count. Pole position for this race in F1 Esports Brazil.
Thank you.
We have Inter to dry. It's a McLaren 1-2 after Thomas had a good penalty. It's game on. This championship's now, it's now in our hands. We've got to take control of it. The championship gap has been diminishing, but it's lights out. How's the start going to be? Getting a nice release, and we are off into the lead to kick off this race exactly how we needed to. We needed to take control of this race, especially when we saw the rain, and now it's head down and to get time to just get on with it and push like I've never pushed before for 36 laps relentlessly. I knew that, if I won this race, it would put me in a good position heading into the last race in the championship, and the whole season the championship gap has sort of either stayed the same or gotten smaller, so we really need to make this count, and I knew that, and it was time to take control of it. So yeah, getting into the rhythm of this race now on lap 1 of 36, getting a feel for the conditions, which were extremely slippery in these intermediate conditions. The car was set up almost entirely for the dry. Very little compromise was made for the intermediate conditions, if really any. Only marginal things were made to the car to just make a fraction better, but nothing significant. So we just needed to make sure we got through these inter conditions well, and then we would be able to, unleash in the dry. But naturally on this game, when it rains, I feel like I've got a good chance. So heading into lap 2 now, and you can just see how treacherously slippy it actually is as we head to the exit now of turn 3, and you can just see me correcting. So Anton reporting light rain for the next 15 minutes, as you can hear. And yeah, now it's just trying to find our feet and trying to, establish a rhythm, establish a pace, and to get on with it. So heading through the middle sector, just so tantalising, just fighting the car, snaps of oversteer, just hustling the car, and trying to push it to the limit where we can, and you can just see fighting the car everywhere, but just doing it in such a way that it's quick. You sometimes aggressive is not quick, but when we're hustling this car to put it on the limit. So lap 3, into lap 3, sorry, we set the fastest lap of the race. Into lap 4, we set the fastest lap of the race. Well, we're just continuing to push on. We're just trying everything we can just to keep the pace up. Into lap 5 now, we set the fastest lap of the race. Just trying, everything we can, just pushing and pushing and pushing. On to lap 8 now, we set the fastest lap of the race, replaced by replaced by Freddy. That's because the track is now beginning to dry up, and we're just, every lap was just 100% attack. There was just, it was relentless. And yeah, as you can hear, getting a bit of a weather update, but yeah, Barry setting the fastest lap now, Thomas setting the fastest lap, the weather getting drier and drier. We set the fastest lap again, onto lap 10 now, just pushing on and on and onto lap 11, setting the fastest lap of the race, just giving it everything. Every single lap was attacking in these conditions, and it was so easy to make a big mistake. We didn't have we're just trying our best to open up the gap to our teammate behind, to give ourselves the best possibility of keeping a good position after the pit stops. Now heading on now to lap 14, and you can see the fastest laps are still rolling in, and it's gonna get, at this point it's gonna start to get closer and closer now to the drier conditions. So we need to try and just sort of be vigilant, try and understand what we're gonna do with the strategy. Just keep it in a rhythm until that point. And yeah, just we're gonna see a few laps on board now, because it was just, I had to drive at such a high level of consistency with no mistakes, no errors, and driving at a very fast pace, just to try and push on as much as I could in these conditions while I had the chance, because you just don't know what's going to happen in the dry, but you want to just make as much time as you can in this wet, and you know, so far we've done a pretty good job. We're holding a decent enough gap to the car behind Barry, our teammate, to just give ourselves enough breathing room so that we weren't, you know, under threat on straights. Keeping our battery in a very, very healthy condition as well, which was also critical. And yeah, setting another fastest lap as the track continues to dry up now. And yeah, we're going to start thinking about heading to dry tyres soon as well, for sure, because the track is drying, with, as you can see by the rate of the lap times coming down and down and down in this race. And we're going to have to, you know, try our very best to get this pit lap nailed. And you can see just how easy it is to, you know, make a mistake. We missed that apex there big time, and it's brutal. But yeah, you can hear me say on the team radio there briefly, it's starting to dry up, and you can see me actually missing the apexes there. It's when you're doing the lap after lap and after lap, and you see, you know, the same lines, it doesn't always portray how difficult it is. You know, it's a fraction of a second where we turn in too late, and it's, you know, it's a big difference. It's unbelievably challenging at this point, but we're managing it well. Pace seems good, and now we're thinking of strategy.
It was still a second off in the middle sector on softs, so keep going for now.
Check your MFD for a new strategy option.
Box or not? Someone pitted.
Got that confirmed.
Yep. You have the priority.
Yeah, but you should tell me. Because are we gonna box this stuff?
Probably.
There's a new strategy available on the MFD.
Yeah.
So here we are now on the middle of lap 16, and the time is right for us to jump onto the dry tyres. The track is starting to, you know, the track is starting to dry quite a bit, and you know, I think it's about, you know, and we can jump onto the medium tyres as well, so we don't need to worry about going onto the hard tyre, sliding around. You know, we can get ourselves onto a set of mediums, fire them up relatively quickly, and then yeah.
They're still off in sector 2.
I reckon box is locked. Do we have any of that or not? Tell me.
Yeah.
Yes or no, Lucas?
Yes, box. Diving into the pits now, and we are going to fire on a set of mediums. So yeah, Freddie Rasmussen and Fabrizio Donoso following us into the box. No problems in the pit stop, as you know, it's always agonising when you're sitting there waiting. It always feels longer than it actually is. But here comes some of the most important laps of this race, and what could be the most important laps of this championship in the race, where we have to
What tire, Marcel?
now we have releasing on the pits now. We have a 1.4 second gap to Freddie Rasmussen. Now, if he blasts his battery, or if we make a mistake, or if he just pushes on and does what Freddie does, he could get into DRS. We cannot let Freddie get in DRS. This was at the point now where we, you know, the championship was, there was no more strategy to be played. There was no more, you know, there was nothing, you know, left to be unfold. It was, you know, I know what I needed to do to try and win this race and to help myself win this championship. So that meant I needed to push like a madman and make sure that Freddie does not get DRS on me. Make sure I'm able to, you know, out ERS him, or make sure I'm just under no circumstance can I let him get into DRS. So we need to, yeah, just give it everything for the next half of this race, and it's gonna require perfection. And we've got that gap up now to 1.6 seconds. That's really important. As Barry, now our teammate, rejoins behind us with a lap Fisher tyres now, but he is 6 or 7 tenths back now. However, he has to fire those tyres up, which will take a bit. So we're going to drop him out of DRS now, And now we need to push. We need to push. This is our chance to try and stretch this gap as much as possible. And with Barry having a tyre advantage, you know, my initial thoughts was that he would be able to come back at us later in the race. But we just need to give it everything. We can't really do much about that. We just need to make sure we are driving as best as we can and to not crack under what was, you know, immense pressure. I knew what was at stake. I knew that, you know, the championship, the destiny of this championship was in my hands. It was up to me to influence, you know, what was going to happen. You know, there was no, as I say, no strategy left. It was down to me, and I had to deliver. That was the only thing left to do, and I was aware of that this whole race, and I just had to embrace it and get on with it, and, you know, become one with the pressure and keep going and keep pushing. And as you can see now, we have a 1.6 second gap to buy behind us, and yeah, we have Freddie 1.9 seconds behind as well. I believe Thomas Ronner just on the fringes of that as well. So for us, we just need to keep pushing as much as we can. We're going up to 1.8 seconds now, and we can see as well ahead of us Luke Smith is still out on the intermediate tyres now. At this point, for all we know, he could try and hold us up, or maybe he'll wave us past, or maybe we're going to have to overtake him. So, you know, but the key thing for us is if we're going to overtake him, we need to try and do it in a place where we don't lose time, and that maybe the other cars behind us will, but we've still managed to keep that gap up. It's a 1.7 second gap now as we come round the final corner to end lap 19, and we just miss DRS of Luke Smith ahead of us, and you can see me blasting the battery because it's more important to clear this car now than to save the battery. So heading to start lap 20 now. We set the fastest lap of the race as the dry tyres really start to come into their own, and you can see Luke Smith is so slow through turn 1 and 2, so we've got to go for it now. We absolutely have to overtake Luke Smith right here, right now. Doesn't matter about the battery, use it all, just go for it, give it everything, use that DRS, get past Luke Smith, and that is us up into the lead of the race once again. But now we have a 2.1 second advantage to Barry Bormond, and they have to, and Barry and Freddie have to actually still overtake Luke. So we have to, you know, we just have to give it everything, and try. I mean, if they lose time to Luke, that will only help us. But at this point, I just need to get out, just go, give it everything, because this is an opportunity to escape in this race and, you know, put my one hand on, you know, this race win, which would help us on the way to trying to win this World Championship. And as you can see now, Barry Berman, our teammate, finally getting past Luke Smith, but he's lost time in doing so, and he's now 2.4 seconds behind. And I also apologise as well for the audio cutting off, as I had some issues with the with the file. There's no audio left anymore, so apologies for that. But as you can see in the background, Freddie Rasmussen, Luke Smith and Barry are all fighting into turn 1, and now the gap's 2.4 seconds to Freddie, so Barry lost out in that, which was actually extremely unlucky for him, and all of that madness, if you see it back on the replay. So yeah, heading on now to the midpoint of lap 21, give or take, and we have, as it stands, a 2.4 second lead to Freddie Rasmussen behind, and our teammate in P3 as well. So this is, yeah, we've got about 15 laps to go, and we know what we need to do now. It is every lap, consistency, no mistakes, pushing as much as I can, just give it just give it everything that we have. We can't go slow, we can't take it easy. It's 100% attack, and we need to maintain this gap. Now, you'll see a 2.4 second gap and think, well, that's a huge gap. Bear in mind, it's Freddie Rasmussen behind me. It's not a simple task just to outpace anybody in this F1 Esports grid. And we, you know, again, I knew what was at stake. The pressure was immense, and we just had to become one with it, and that's what I did in this race. As we can see, pushing on and on and on. I believe Freddie was using his battery quite aggressively. As you can see now, we've brought that gap back up now, as we're just lapping lap after lap after lap, more consistent, and you can see with, you know, multiple fastest laps being set, and I believe, it's just crazy how, you know, how much I had to push in these laps as well. Onto lap 27 now, just keeping the lap times consistent. Barry re-overtaking Freddie with a bit more ERS now to recharge and go for it, trying to close the gap to me now, but unluckily for him, he just didn't have enough battery to bridge that gap. He did have fresher tyres, but it wasn't enough to, you know, close that gap. So the gap came down and then it started to yo-yo back up again. And Freddie Rasmussen was then ultimately able to bring his battery up and then launch a re-attack on Barry. So yeah, you can see the gap's going back up again as we're just lapping consistently every single lap, banging in the laps. That lap wasn't too amazing there, but just giving it everything for lap after lap, no mistakes, it was just rhythm. It was just, you know, constant, you know, pressure, constant, you know, I've never felt this in a single day of F1 Esports. The adrenaline I felt on this day, I can still remember it because it was, after qualifying, my entire arms were just tingling. Like, I've never felt that fired up when I had the weight of the world on my shoulders to deliver, and I managed to do so. And then this entire race with, you know, 36 laps to do, where no mistakes could be done, where you had to push so hard, where you have, you know, incredibly talented drivers behind you just pushing you on, and just, I can't express just the level of difficulty it takes just to try and hold on, but I had my mindset, I knew what I had to do, and I knew that the destiny of this championship was in my hand, and I knew what I had to do, so I just decided to grab it and run as far as I could with it. And here we are, skipping on to the end of lap 34. My footage actually cuts out now, unfortunately, but as you can see, the gap's good, and we're going to take I'll let it speak for itself.
Probably the front of the field, because we still got a fight between Freddie Rasmussen and Barry Burman, but it looks as though Freddie has got enough in the tank to hold on in that Red Bull.
Yeah, Lucas Blakeley, though, he will take the final corners here, coming out of Junshao, now past the Archibancadas. He took victory at Bahrain, he took victory in Italy, he also scored in the Netherlands, but for the 4th time this season he'll take a victory, this time at Brazil. Lucas Blakeley wins the F1 Esports Brazilian Grand Prix, and it'll go all the way to Yas Marina at Abu Dhabi.
What a sensational drive from Lucas Blakeley. No one had a chance when he managed to extend that gap. It was a fantastic drive from Lucas Blakeley.
So there we have it. We managed to take our 4th win of the season, and it came at the right moment, and it was quite simply the race of my life. And I mean, these are scenes from after the race. It was so much adrenaline, pressure, emotion. It was overwhelming, and it took me by surprise. Now, I mean, I don't hide from the fact I hold my heart on my sleeve, but I didn't expect even this much emotion after the race. I was just overwhelmed by it, because I went to a place and just pushed to a level that, you know, yeah, you can argue, oh, but in race or in practice you can do this or in these times or whatever. Doesn't matter. I had the weight of literally the world on my shoulders, and I knew what I had to do, and I had to dig deep. I had to dig deep. Deeper than I'd ever dug before. And we took that next closer step to putting our hand on that F1 Esports Championship trophy.